so overwhelming. And then, so the deadline was a Friday. And I had to have everything on by Monday morning. I was like, how am I gonna do this? It was, I have a little bit of help too in the office now.
Good,
Allison,
good.
so.
Well, Pam is leaving. The
Yeah.
assessor.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
going to Brighton, I think.
Okay, folks, let's get started. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I officially call to order the first meeting of 2022 of the Town of Canandaigua Planning Board. Don't have to go through the Zoom procedure because I think we're all familiar with it. I do want to, for the record, state that since our last meeting, we had a resignation of Ryan Stachak as a board member. Ryan decided that he needed more time to be with his family, and there's various things that we all know are important, and he decided to resign. So he submitted his resignation at the end of the year. So as a result, we're fortunate to have one additional person as a full-time board member. And I would like to acknowledge Ryan's service with the board. He certainly brought a different perspective. He was unique in the sense that he looked at applications and projects from a different perspective than some of the rest of us, and all in a positive light. And certainly his experience and his input will be missed. So good luck, Ryan, wherever you are. Anybody else on the board have anything to say about Ryan? Okay. All right. As a result, we now have a new board, and let me introduce the new board. First, remotely, we have Bob LaCourse, excuse me, Bob.
Thank you.
He is in virtual land and out in Utah, so we're glad you were able to join us.
Thank you.
To my left, Amanda Van Laken. I have new member Mark Tolbert. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
I have new member Scott Neal. Welcome, Scott. And I'm Chuck Euler, and effective last evening, I guess I'm doing another year as the chairman of this illustrious group, so I'm glad to do that, and I'm glad I'm able to serve. Okay, we also have staff people here this evening, including John Robatella, our secretary, Kim Burkert, I call her the IT gal. We also are fortunate to have Michelle with us this evening from the development office to turn on the lights, open the doors, and get everything set up so we're able to conduct a meeting tonight. All right, the first order of business, we have no legal notices since we have no public hearings. I will open it to the privilege of the floor before we go on to the board's business. I assume there's nobody in virtual land. There's certainly nobody here, I think, that wants to bring to the board's attention any issue that they'd like to see us consider. If not, let's move on to our reorganization. The first order of business would be the selection of a vice chairman of the board who would serve in my stead if I should be absent for any reason. And I would like to nominate Bob LaCourse as the vice chairman.
Thank you.
Do I have
Second that.
have a second, Amanda? Any further nominations?
No.
Okay, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, Bob.
Yay, thank you.
Thanks for willing us to serve. That means you have to come back now. You can't stay on Utah.
Okay.
I noticed that he was gone until May, so you better.
Next order of business is the appointment of our recording secretary. Do I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate John, our diligent in front of us here.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Scott seconded. Any further nominations? If
Of
not,
course not.
all in
John's the
favor?
best.
There could be more.
No, John, you're the one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, congratulations, John.
Thank you.
Thanks for your excellent recording in minutes. Next order of business would be our engineer for the planning board. Does someone have a nomination?
I'll make that nomination to nominate Lance Bragburn from the MRB group.
Okay, we have the MRB group represented by Lance Brackert. Any further, I need a second.
I'm happy to second it.
Mark seconded. Any further nominations? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, welcome back, Lance.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Okay, and lastly is our legal counsel. Do I have a nomination for someone to provide legal guidance to this group?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Nadler.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second
second.
that.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Look at that.
Bob was louder, Scott, sorry. Okay, I got a motion and a second to nominate Chris Nadler. Anyone else? Any other nominations? If not, we'll close the nominations. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that makes up.
Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you all again this year.
Great.
Thanks for staying on, Chris. We know you're a busy guy. But I know you like us best, right? Oh, no comment.
No comment.
All right, sorry, I was trying to unmute you. The answer was yes, absolutely.
All right, has everyone seen our board calendar for 2022?
Yes.
Okay, any corrections we need to make? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we've set the application deadline at a further distance back, right? We took care of that. I guess Lance, you would be Lance and Michelle.
Yeah, it's the first business day of the month.
Okay,
Right, and for the board, that what that does, and Michelle, correct me where I'm wrong, that allows the development office staff, or I forget what the correct title of the department is now, Michelle, sorry. It allows them additional time to do all the things that Michelle was alluding to that they have to do with receipt of every application that is received. And it's a lengthy process, specifically when they get overwhelmed with the number of applications. So by moving it up, it gives them a little bit additional time to get staff eyes on it, and then provides a better product to us at PRC meetings.
and we're gonna hold applicants to that schedule, right? Okay. That's our resolution for 2022.
Yes.
Okay, so are there any other comments? Are you good with it, Michelle?
Yeah.
You produced it, so you better.
I know, I knew it.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the board calendar for 2022?
I move to approve the calendar for 2022.
Okay, motion by Scott, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Amanda, second. Any other comments, discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passed, so we have our calendar. One thing before we go to the rules of procedure. I sent out this afternoon a request for an update on the contact list, and some of you folks have gotten back to me already. Thank you very much for doing that. And that information is important because there have been times, especially during the Zoom era, that we've had problems with the Zoom connection. Something came up that we had to get a hold of all the board members immediately. So this way I have cell phone numbers that we can call people and let them know what's happening, so they're not out in the, not left in the lurches and they don't know what's happening. So that's the intent of that, as well as me being able to keep track of where you folks or living now. But again, thank you. And I think Scott, Mark, I got yours. Kim, I got yours. John, I got yours. Bob, I know you haven't moved. Chris,
I sent you an email.
okay, got it. Chris, I got. I will send it out to everybody, including you.
Okay.
Okay, once I condense it and codify it. All right, let's go on to the rules of procedure. For 2022, up on the screen are the current rules that we're working under. Let's go through them. Shouldn't take too long to go through each one, each category, paragraph. Bob, I know you had some comments, so chime in when you hit something that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, I think the last iteration that I saw from Shauna had most of my thoughts in there, and it looked pretty good from there.
Okay, I'm not sure if we have that here or not. I guess you'll know as we go through it.
Yep.
I don't think I recall Shauna sending it out, but anyway, maybe she did. I just assumed it was the same one.
I got it from Sean, so I'm sure this isn't the one that Sean.
I have a hard copy of Bob's.
Of Bob's, yeah.
Bob's.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, just keep an eye out, Bob, as we get through it. And if
Yeah.
something needs to be changed or you want to discuss something, let's talk about it.
Okay.
All right, so the first two paragraphs are boilerplate. Then we get into duties and responsibilities. I don't see anything there other than the chair being treated nicely by the board members. Okay.
Sure.
The vice chair, that's pretty cut and dry. We all are subject to ethics rules. And at some point, Mark and Scott, there'll probably be a training session on ethics. If you haven't had it before, you might have had it up at SOTUS, but make sure you sign up for that. Okay, meeting schedule. Are we comfortable with the second and fourth Tuesdays,
Yes.
except for December where we get the fourth Tuesday off?
Yep.
You don't want to change that.
No.
That month off was nice. I get that. 6 o'clock, okay with everybody still?
Yeah.
Okay. We went through the calendar, so we're, if I need to call an additional meeting, I can do so. Periodically, we might have a field visit, a site visit. And that subject to certain rules and regulations regarding advertising. Because if we have more than a quorum, obviously it has to be advertised. And there's certain things we can and can't do during that field meeting, which our attorney has told us. And I think if and when we have a field meeting, we'll make sure everybody realizes what they're allowed to say and not say during that field meeting. Public notices are taken care of by the Daily Messenger. And so that will continue. Okay, order of business. I think, Bob, you said rather than pledge to the flag, it should be
Yeah,
pledge of allegiance.
Right, and for grammatically reasons, planning board, since it's not the town of Canandaigua planning board, should be lowercase.
In the first sentence.
Yeah, and A, yeah. That happens a lot throughout this document too, but I just told Shauna that too earlier. And you're right, I said recite the United States Pledge of Allegiance.
And I think to be grammatically correct, that's true.
Yeah.
So that should be changed. Anything else? Introduction of the board and staff, which I normally do. I go over evacuation procedures. Now, it is awkward to have the attesting of the publishing up before preceding the actual hearing itself. It should certainly be included, but I think what you're suggesting, Bob, is that the privilege of the floor be moved up over top the attesting of the legal notices. Is that correct?
No, I didn't make that comment on that one. I thought that was fine.
Well, maybe that's my suggestion. What does the board think about moving the privilege of the floor up to prior to we get into the actual meeting
Oh.
agenda, which includes the attesting to the public.
Isn't part of the-
Yeah, I could see that.
It isn't a part of the legal notice verification is stating that we have published the fact that we're gonna have a legal meeting.
We're gonna have a hearing.
Okay.
It's not public notice of all the deliberations, it's public notice of certain applications that require a public hearing. So,
So I think where this probably carried over is other town board meetings. And then in the town board meeting, they start out with it to make sure that the meeting was published so that people that were participating, because then everything after that point becomes a legal action, correct?
right,
So
well,
that-
yes,
So
for the most
making,
part, yeah.
making sure that it was properly published and then including the public comment, because now that's part of the meeting. If somebody did a public comment and then we found that a legal notice wasn't,
Well,
would it be part of the meeting?
under privilege of the floor, the person, whatever they say would still be recorded in the minutes.
Okay.
So it's publicly explained and it's publicly documented in the minutes. The public notice is more, pertains to more like subdivisions, certain site plans that require a public hearing where I officially open the hearing. In contrast to a site plan that does not require a public hearing. So my thought is move the privilege of the floor above the attestment of the legal notice. So,
Hey,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, yeah, just to make sure we're clear, and you're going down the path, but public hearings, different than public meetings, right? Public hearing, which this is referring to as Chuck was alluding, is regarding all applications such as subdivision applications. They require a public hearing. Special use permit applications require a public hearing. And then in some instances, a site plan, as sometimes gets called for by the chair or the board, depending upon the type of application outcry that might be there for that. So I think if I understand correctly, in this particular situation where we have it listed here, this one is referencing public hearings, notices of public hearings for those applications that require that.
correct. So if it's behooves everyone and in agreement, let's move that privilege of the floor up one step right after I talk about how to get out of the building. And then we'll get into the actual business at hand on the agenda, which would lead with the attestment of the public notice, and then we go on to the actual public hearing, which brings us to the next page, which is the order of our deliberations. Bob, and I agree with you that I think sketch plans should probably be moved to
Later.
number 4.
Yeah,
And number 1 should be public hearings.
right. They're there for a reason.
Okay.
Do we even, maybe, I guess I don't, do we even have sketch? I mean, I don't think we have, I guess my question is why couldn't sketch plans just go under other board business?
Because we look at plans in the beginning, prior to, all the time. But it's a low priority, so that's where I would
Right.
think be later on in the, higher priority is the public hearings, preliminary, and then final, and then what's coming up next.
I guess the reason I'm saying that is I think most of the time that, at least from the ones that we've seen previously, it's usually at the request of the applicant, at maybe a PRC meeting or a pre-application meeting with staff, that they want to attend a meeting to go over something with you guys.
Right.
To me, that's less agenda and more of a board option. And that's the only reason I made that suggestion under other board business as opposed to an actual category. But maybe there needs to be one because we offer sketch plan reviews, which I have to go back and look.
We do. Yeah, we have a formal sketch plan application.
Yep.
I don't know if we have a fee that we charge for, that's
Yeah.
another, we do.
Mhm.
So I mean, the applicant's paying his money and submitting his sketch plan, so I think it should have its own designation, but I think it is a lower priority than items 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
Yep. So that will take care of that. Then other board business would include approval of the minutes, referrals from the town board, which happens, or recommendations to the ZBA. That's if we're requested to provide input on a ZBA application, recommendations to the CEO, letter of credit releases, comprehensive plan general discussion. Now, I don't think we've done that other than if something specific comes up on the comp plan. We don't have it as an agenda item. We can certainly leave it on there.
I think only that discussion was, Chuck, that if we had that, it would go toward our end of the year report on the comp plan and any changes that we could add.
And it would keep it in front of us too, so that we wouldn't lose track of it. So, and we did in our annual report, commit to do some comp plan
Mhm.
reviews. So that could occur during this part of the agenda,
Mhm.
if not sooner. Okay, then any other business as required?
Do we want to bump up credit releases? There were a couple of instances last year, I think, where there was a engineer or some representative that was available for, just because of other applications that they were sitting in on. And it's splitting hairs. We'll talk about it, of course, but I don't know if we want to bump it up in other business. So after we finish sketch plan, then we go to other credit release approval.
I can see it after approval of minutes, maybe.
Okay.
So
This-
just a question coming back up to application review. Is part of the mindset there on the prioritization of trying to, in essence, allow to clear the house faster? So in a public hearing, you're likely to have public interest and more activity that's happening with it. Is that potentially the reason why the sketch plan was put higher? So the sketch plan, the idea is they're coming in to share a concept plan that should be faster than a preliminary site plan or a final site.
So you were wondering why it was number 1 in the first place?
Mhm.
I could see it depending on the application. A lot of, in my time on the board, a lot of the sketch plans were just us and the applicant. I mean, we sort of threw it out on the table and we sort of deliberated and said, well, if you move this over here, or maybe change that, or add some shrubbery back there. That's sort of what occurred during the sketch plan review.
They don't go out for public notice either, right?
Well, no, not a sketch plan, no.
No.
Well,
Right.
You know, the 500-foot rule.
500 foot is for public hearing notices, 100 is a courtesy for site plans,
But not-
100 feet and nothing for sketches.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, one benefit by having sketch plan done, and Mr. Tolbert, maybe this is kind of what you're stating. The idea of having the sketch plan first so that you can get them in and out quickly, but vice versa. If there is a number issue in terms of number of people needing to be at the meeting to hear the specific application, the board in the past has removed those applicants that aren't involved with that process or that review and asked them to stand out in the hall or come back in the later time to allow those who have standing or opportunity to talk on this particular application, they would be to come in and do so. Also, if there isn't a public hearing, the board in the past, if they felt there was a need to move something up due to other issues, we've altered the agenda to accommodate those scenarios as well. So just pointing that out for references.
Mhm.
For example, if someone can't get on the Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
they might go to the next application and bring the other guy on when he gets on.
Or, I mean, I'm influenced as chairman that if there's a lot of people there for a particular item,
You want to
and
clear
it's
out the
at the
room.
bottom of the, yeah, we try to move it up because it's not fair to have these people sit around. Now, one particular application, that didn't have a sketch plan. Did it? It had the MUO, which was deliberated by the, but under the, I think that was a public, might have been a public hearing. But there was no sketch plan, which maybe was an issue. There should have been a sketch plan. A lot of time and effort would have been saved on.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through the process. So I think when people come in, they're interested about what they're interested in. And then they're happy to go. And just when I look at the speed of the activity that happens with each of those areas, certainly the public hearing is likely to have the highest number of people at it and take them on a time. And that's maybe why that was a sketch, because I think a sketch plan, and maybe I'm misunderstanding how the process goes here, and I apologize for that if I am. But if they're coming in, it's time to get an overview with quick input. So that to me would feel like it would be quick input to get them out faster. It's just from a speed perspective. Maybe I'm completely off kilter on it. I don't know.
No, and if you were sitting in this chair, you would make an assessment as to the number of people, what they're here for, what else you have in the agenda,
Shift it. Got it.
and you can move things around.
Got it. So it doesn't really matter.
And we've done that, but I think as far as the hierarchy of reviews, I think sketch plans would probably be the
If something has to be.
least, yeah, and probably the least frequent too. So let's stay with that. So we talked about the comp plan update. Okay, update on available training. John does a great job of making available what training is available. We all know what our obligations are as far as training, and if you don't, you two guys have 12 hours to get in. And you're fortunate, we're starting at the beginning of the year, so the whole year. Amanda wasn't that lucky.
I think I might have
It's
lost
close.
a month,
Okay,
but still, it counts.
okay, and us old timers, we have 4 hours we have to get per year. So we do go over the available training, and certainly, I think, just to remind people again, keep it in front of you that you've got that obligation to meet, so you don't get caught at the end of the year.
Can I say
Okay.
something else about that training? If you do a training, could you send me the certificate or whatever? And then, because I update the worksheet that we keep it on. So, and I send it out periodically to Chuck, so he knows.
And that has to happen within the calendar year.
Yep.
So the stuff I did in December, I get to do again. That's okay. I'll do it again.
I know you were asking where you get some training. I didn't realize you were taking it.
No problem.
Did we gonna move the letter of credit up? Letter of credit releases?
We're gonna move it up underneath approval minutes
That'll be second now.
before we get into
Okay, got it, thanks.
referrals and
Board, I'm
recommendations.
sorry, I should have mentioned this, sir. Can we, I'm suggesting that we possibly change that too, because not every release we get is a letter of credit release. Maybe that should be called surety and letter of credit, or just surety release. Because there is technically speaking, we don't always authorize, and specifically tonight's agenda, one of the action items that you guys have is a surety release. It's not a letter of credit release.
It could be cash. Yeah.
Right.
Surety or letter of credit, something like.
Okay, so why don't we put the word surety / letter of credit releases? Got that, John?
Yep.
Okay. All right, then we, if we have any reports from town engineer, the planning board attorney, anyone from township staff or town staff, and any reports that the board members would like to make. And then we look ahead and see what upcoming applications we have, and that's generated based on our PRC review. So we know these meetings have been assigned to applications, so you know what's coming when. And then we'll have to find somebody to replace Ryan for adjournment.
I can,
You
the
can handle
Ketchum
it?
Road.
Ketchum Road connection?
Yes, there's solidarity there.
Jeez.
I can
We'll be
hold it down.
floundering with, nobody can make a motion. Ryan's not here. All right, let's move on to, I guess, another perfunctory thing, amendments. Your business may be amended by the chair. Discretion, that's what we were talking about, Mark. Getting into the possibility if I sense the room that there, we need to move things around the agenda, I have the ability to do that. But the applicant cannot request around. Well, he can request it, but. Privilege of floor, everybody understand what that's all about, since we're talking about items that are not in the agenda, I'd like to bring to our attention. Okay, distribution of agendas. You get the draft agendas usually, oh, Michelle, what, 2 weeks?
It's usually
Right after the-
like a week and a half before the meeting. It's like the Thursday before, a week before the meeting.
Okay,
So like, I like to do that, so if that goes out and then people can have the weekends to check them out, check out the applications. I mean, if you don't get it till the Tuesday before the meeting, you only have a shorter time. I like to get it out like a week and a half.
okay. And the Lance prepares the resolutions, and they're usually done the Thursday before the meeting. So we have it for the weekend to review those. And I realize it depends on the volume of resolutions you have to prepare, Lance, as to when that comes out, but you certainly do a good job on it. Thank you.
I thank you, but yeah, I think the goal is to try to get them to you as soon as we possibly can. But yeah, in some instances, I most certainly won't get them to you later than a Friday, but I've been trying to get them to you on Thursdays if possible.
Okay, this next one, I don't know if we really followed it. We don't get copies of the county planning board's minutes per se. We do get their review on applications from the town of Canandaigua. And that's put into our files, our digital files, so. Draft time board minutes will be distributed to the planning board and staff from the secretary. Board with the calendar date, wow.
We don't get a lot of Ontario County.
Whatever is referred to them is what you guys get.
Yeah, we get,
Unless you want to know about other towns. I mean, the whole Ontario County Planning Board minutes is every single town in the county that's applications that they reviewed. So if you wanted to see every other towns.
Those notes are on our board though, for Ontario County Planning Board, according to our notice. They're on our board.
yeah, they're on in our files.
Yeah, you know, on every, yeah.
For that particular application, but we don't get copies of the Ontario County Planning Board minutes.
Not all of them.
Every town, and we don't need them, I don't think. And I know they are awfully difficult to read in terms of what are they saying?
They're also available on the county website too.
Do we
I mean,
need them?
Sean is now a member, she serves on the board. So hopefully we can sort of, send her on her way to board meetings and say, would you make the minutes or are they reviews a little more legible? I guess is the word. I don't know, you guys will have to, Mark and Scott, you'll have to read, they really go off on a tangent a lot of times. They never really always can come to any conclusion. Except if it's on the lake, then it's in denial. Without, well, again, they're a recommending body. I certainly want to use whatever resources we have, but I'm not sure. They could be much more valuable, and I think hopefully Shauna can have that occur. So I hope no county planning board members are listening, recording our recording. Okay, copies of the meeting agenda, legal notices shall be available at Town Development Office, and I assume that occurs. No problems with that, Michelle?
No, that's what I was talking about, the 10 days that I have it already, because I have to have, in order to have the legal notice in a week ahead before, in the newspaper before the meeting, I have to have it in on the next Tuesday, so I send that either Thursday or Friday to the messenger. And then they, because there's no publication on Mondays. The newspaper doesn't publish on Monday, so in order to get it in on Tuesday, I have to have it there Thursday or Friday.
Okay, next item is having to do with PRC and getting items on the agenda. I know we talked about this. Do we have this squared away, Lance? Michelle, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to switch the wording to
Switch.
the first business day. Not the Wednesday that precedes the second Friday of the month. However that came up, I don't get it.
Well, if we're gonna,
Yeah, we'll
We're
just
gonna do
need to
something,
change the
let's-
wording.
Mhm.
The noon on the first business day of the month.
okay. And I know this sort of goes along with what we were talking about last month. Regarding make sure that the applicant understands what has to be and when to qualify for a meeting and whether a application is deemed complete. Is there anything else we have to add to this to ensure that occurs?
I don't know, Chuck. One thing I'd like to make sure that we do have is something that says if you don't have it by this date, you're not going to be seen. Like we've seen so many site plans the day of the meeting. That doesn't work.
Yeah, site plans and follow-up correspondence.
Yeah.
Shoreline guideline things that come in that afternoon. That sometimes we don't have a chance to read and digest. So yes, I think, we've got to hold them to the schedules. And I know there's new plans. They have certain deadlines. That's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
But if
like
somebody
after
submits-
PRC, we have PRC is usually a Monday. This month it's
Yeah.
gonna be on a Tuesday. But our deadline for PRC materials is that Friday of PRC.
I think what happens though is Lance will do a review. He'll send out his review letter. The applicant will go to his engineer and say, change the plan. So then we get revised plans in, like Bob said, that afternoon. And we're looking at a set of revised plans we haven't seen.
And then just continue it then. If they don't meet the deadline, they'll have to wait till next time.
I think there's a different deadline for revised plans versus new applications. That's sort of the way I think staff was treating it, right? Or not?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact that I think PRC, our review at PRC, as we discussed, will be to determine whether or not an application is complete. Those PRC minutes, which is one of the suggestions here, be forwarded, and it already is. It's technically on the website, but those will be part of the planning board's packet so that you guys have our dialogue that took place at the meeting. If an application is deemed incomplete, it won't be on the agenda. If it is deemed complete, then reviews are occurring. Well, those reviews are within that 30-day window. I think it will be important for PRC to make the suggestion to the applicant that, as comments come in, you can make whatever revisions you want, but understanding that you can't submit those revisions unless they meet this criteria, that they be in before this date and time in order to be heard at that meeting. Otherwise, the previous version of that is going to be the only thing that we can discuss. And a lot of times the applicants do that because they believe they're showing good faith in addressing comments and they're trying to get them in. But what I'm trying to suggest to them is that sometimes it doesn't get perceived that way. And two, it doesn't make sense because you're just going to have to revise it again after the meeting when other comments from the board is heard. So it only makes sense for either A, they want to revise it and submit it, it's got to meet your time frame, or B, they hold off until after the meeting and incorporate whatever revisions is requested by the board.
So what is
Totally.
it?
I agree.
So what do you want to, what do you want to make the time frame then? What, a week ahead?
For revisions, revised plans?
Well, I think you guys
Well-
already have it, the due date for when when revisions are to be provided to the board prior to their meeting day. I thought that we already discussed that.
I also don't know that much productive conversation can be had about this without Shauna. I know that at your last meeting, you empowered Shauna to make the calls and stick to her guns on on holding applicants to a deadline. I think, you know, as town planner, she can exercise her judgment on that very adequately. And if she isn't confident or isn't comfortable in a particular decision on when to bring it to the board or when to hold off, the board chair's cell phone number, she's got my cell phone number, she's got Lance's cell phone number. I'm confident that you know, so long as you empower the staff to use their judgment on this, you'll wind up with a more efficient application and agenda process. I don't set a specific deadline because sometimes the amendments or the changes are negligible or just a response to a comment letter. Sometimes an applicant comes in with a redesigned plan.
Like the Canandaigua Crossings one, maybe.
Yeah,
a good
because
example.
you've got different you can't apply a uniform standard on the vast diversity of responses you're going to get.
Hey, this is
How are
Bob.
your-
Chris, I agree with you, and the only thing that I don't agree with is that notification to the board members don't happen. When those things come in, we sometimes only find out about it at the board meeting. There needs to be an email that goes out to us that says there are new notes in here, and here's you need to review before the meeting.
Oh, I agree, Bob. I think that's a great idea. Michelle, is that something you guys can do?
Yeah, I thought that's what Shauna does. I don't know.
Oh,
Could we tie it to if the plan can't be uploaded to the FTP SharePoint space with 2 days prior to the meeting or something like that? And some sort of timing where, you know, it takes you time to upload it into the space and then we have to see it, or we have to be notified and then we have to see it and review it and digest.
yeah.
But I don't know if we want to put that level of parameter on it or keep it as an open.
If you want a deadline for the revision, if you're gonna bring a revision, we need it a week ahead of time or something. But like someone said about comments too, we don't always get the comments till the day of the meeting either.
Yeah.
So, you know, referral comments.
Well, usually what I
Don't
do
get
is
those either.
Tuesday afternoon, I usually go through the digital file, just to see if anything has come in the last,
Yeah.
24 hours or that
Yeah.
morning. So I at least have a look at it and make sure on any application that's on the agenda. You're right, Lance, there's no reason that an engineer has to go and make all the changes to a plan based on your comments, because your comments are usually a condition of approval.
Right.
And he's gonna have to change it before the plan gets signed anyway. So unless there's something specific that the board would like to see on the plan, and not leave it up to the discretion of you or me to make sure it's there. But yeah,
Yeah, I think Chris was right. Maybe there's a way for Shauna to put some note in this section of your standards that says something along the lines of when these revisions are due and how that process would work from the development office standpoint. But I think we all understand that the board isn't going to receive anything the night of the meeting, isn't going to receive anything 2 days before the meeting that they can't review and discuss.
anything of substance, yes. Yeah, if it's just a letter from Jim Fletcher or email or something like that, that's one thing. But if it's anything of substance, a major change of the plan, those kind of things, which we've all seen, and we've seen them at the last minute. And in most cases, we have sent the applicant on his way and said, come back in another month because you got it in too late. So, all right, I just want to make sure that if there's a notification from Shauna that something new has come in this afternoon or the Monday before the meeting, that way we're at least aware of it. And the applicant knows that you can't be dropping things on us at the 11th hour and that be that be emphasized by town staff. So, okay, that'll work.
A technical question related to
Sure.
the TP site. Is there a way to have it just notify us when there's a change? So that you don't, Michelle doesn't have to do it, or
No,
there's not.
no.
That would be nice.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty. elementary.
Is this item D then to be rewritten, or
Yeah, I think Michelle said,
I have to the first business day of the month. Applications are due on the first business day of the month,
by noon on.
by
Is that-
noon on the first day of the business day of the month. That's the PRC deadline,
Right.
the new one.
Mhm.
Anything else, or you want to?
Application is
Yeah.
deficient. It's not ready for placement of plan board.
We've been good at that.
That's not a PRC, right? Determine whether it's acceptable for acceptance.
After missing. I'm trying to think of the last one we kicked back. Oh, the cable one, or the what was
Tower, the tower.
that? Tower.
Mhm.
We kicked that back because they were missing lots of things.
But that came out of PRC because.
Right,
And they.
correct, that's what I mean, that's what we're, isn't that what
Yeah,
we're
and I
discussing?
think, I think this pretty well covers it, that if PRC
Right.
determines that there's any deficiencies, the applicant is notified through your minutes, or if the applicant's there, or he hears it at PRC,
Mhm.
but you recorded in your minutes, John, that the plan is deficient and will not be accepted, right? Okay. So I think as far as D is concerned,
Just that one change.
we're okay.
Yep.
All right, seeker.
No change for me.
Last shall be by formal resolution and be recorded. Instead of to be recorded.
Oh, got it, yep,
See that?
Yep.
Okay.
got that.
Town law planning board resolution should be signed by the secretary. That's F. Okay, public hearings. As usual, waiting for a mark. All public hearings shall be noticed. And I think, Bob, you had said something, was that you or is that just me that have it be a legal notice?
I
Public
think
notice.
that was you.
Okay,
That was
I
you.
think it should say, shall be have public notice, okay?
Yeah.
It's the state town law. Comment period. Chair shall identify all correspondence pertaining to the application. I normally do that.
On that one, Chuck, I had a list of,
Oh, who should be, yeah,
yeah, like public comments, ECB, PRC, water notes, town sewer, fire department, school, and MRB. That's for my federal years checklist, like boom, 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 done, done, done.
yep. Okay, do we want to list?
In a good world, it'd be nice if Michelle could put all those into the
The red line version.
I have it here, just
The
saying.
thing about that, Bob, is I don't always get comments
Okay.
back
That's right,
I
it
have,
here.
I have.
from those people. If I get comments from the water or the DPW, that's what I put in there. I don't, if I don't get comments, I don't put it on.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's needed. If you wanted just left empty, you know.
So, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean there, Michelle, but when I look at all that stuff, I look to see, did he make any comments? No, there's no comments from him. I was like, okay, I'm passing that, going next. And then any sewer notes from, what's his name? I can't remember his name. No, or whatever. And it just becomes like a checklist for us reviewing this.
It sounds like you have your own checklist when you're working through the last. piece of
PRC, we go
That's kind of
over,
like the referral checklist.
yeah, that's what it is.
The referral checklist, see?
I don't think it should go in the rules of procedure. I think Bob makes a very good point about having a checklist. Maybe it goes in the FTP site, however, it's best conveyed to the board, and you guys should give direction to the staff on it. But I don't think you should have it in the rules of procedure, because then if it gets missed, if it's inadvertently not checked off, then, you know, you violated your rules of procedure.
Yeah, I think it would be great to see that kind of list in each applicant online there.
Don't we have that?
Why don't
We
you,
don't refer to everybody either.
no, why don't you put your referral list in here, okay?
Yeah,
In there.
What we have in the PRC referral list, put that in the rules, and then it does say that pertaining to the application, so not everyone pertains to the application.
Right, correct.
right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
At
we don't
least-
refer to everybody, we don't get comments back from everybody either.
So we're not saying for a particular application that these people are gonna be notified, we're just saying, in general, all these agencies and third parties will be considered as a possible referral. So, John, if you take the referral sheet
Just put them all in
and
there.
put it under number 2.
Yeah.
It didn't include the county planning board either, but your referral sheet does.
They're on the referral sheet too. Got it.
Anything else, Bob, on that?
No, that was it. My only thing I said was what John was just doing was it's a not all-inclusive list. That's, you know,
Okay.
And everybody was referred to is also on the PRC minutes.
Yeah.
As well.
thank you.
Right, yep, which we get. Okay, we should give it to the planning board chair and enter into the record. Okay, if the applicant submits anything, that happens sometimes. Okay, all persons speaking will first provide their names and addresses,
Yeah, right.
okay? 3 minutes, okay? We've got
Yep.
our public speaking police, Chris Nadler. available. No, yeah, we've got to follow that and make sure we do it. I know you had to work under tough conditions.
Jared has a clock.
I noticed that.
It
yeah.
goes off, it rings at 25
It dings.
seconds.
I got booed for cutting off Mark Tolbert, our newest.
Not too many people have done that.
That'll teach you.
Yeah,
I have a question on that one.
sure.
Should you include that people from Zoom should, or online should identify themselves? Because I've had people reject, identifying themselves on Zoom. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
let them in.
I hope,
Yeah.
as long as we continue to have Zoom, I think as part of our procedures, I say whether you're here or on Zoom, give us your name and address. The hardest part is getting our attention, because sometimes on Zoom, and I guess you keep an eye out for that, so. Yes, that will apply to people in person as well as Zoom.
Actually, I guess from a general public comment standpoint, but more so a security standpoint, if somebody's unidentifiable by staff on a Zoom, don't unmute them. If they say they want to speak and, their name, there's no name there, they have to type their name first in the, because the last time that happened, the entire town board meeting got a healthy dose of pornography.
What I do here is I chat to them, I ask them their name, because I can only
Perfect.
change their name in Zoom, so everybody knows who it is, but some people don't respond, and I just don't admit them to the meeting if I can't get hold of them.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, we could have a whole training on Zoom etiquette, but that's beyond the realm of this, these rules. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. We're in a new world now in terms of how our meetings are conducted, and we do have, virtual access, and that's something, I guess, in looking through these rules, if there's something that's unique and specific to Zoom, I guess we should include it. But I haven't seen anything yet. I think most of it's just general information. All right, let's subject to a public hearing to sometime for the, okay, John's got to remind me to close the hearings. Motions. Okay, Robert's rule. You can do those 5 items to a motion. Right? Voting? Those voting should be recorded. Planning board member may abstain from voting. When a member exercises his rights, not necessary for the member to state the reason for abstaining. C. Good catch, Bob. It's not shall excuse themselves.
Yeah.
Just recluse themselves. I excuse myself for that. Okay, NYS general construction law. Hey, that's such a simple paragraph. I'll let our lawyer answer that. I think that's just gets into the county planning board where the supermajority. Okay. Remember, the planning board should be eligible to vote upon the planning board meeting only when they are present for the meeting. We have a whole separate addendum on remote attendance, which picks up that if you're not here in person, if certain requirements you have to meet, which Bob is following tonight.
But I'm gonna also recommend that we add a sentence to the rules about the remote attendance saying, a remote attendance policy or otherwise, or as otherwise specified by law, because for the last year, we really haven't been following the remote attendance policy because we've been subject to a series of emergency executive orders that have allowed remote attendance policy, not subject to our remote attendance policy.
Got it.
So I think we need to make a little change there.
Well, we do have at the end of the rules, the remote attendance policy. Participation in the planning board meeting shall be conducted in accordance with the planning board's remote attendance policy, which is attached here too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna recommend that you add a sentence at the end of that, at the end of number 18, or add, or as otherwise specified by law.
Okay.
Like those executive orders.
Yeah. And then this, only when they were present for the subject meeting, when we change that to only when they have attended the subject meeting.
Okay.
Because you can attend online, now. You can attend by remote participation.
Right.
Well, Bob has the right to vote tonight because he went through the procedure of the remote attendance policy.
Yep.
And he's
That's why I
visible.
want you to change that to have attended, because Bob is definitely attended, but there might be some question as to whether or not he is present.
I see what you're saying, Chris.
I agree he has the right to vote, but section 10E there maybe makes me question that.
Yeah, when I went to Jean about advertising where Bob was gonna be,
Yeah,
she
Yeah.
said, since there's executive orders, we don't need to. We
Do it
didn't,
this
don't
time.
need to advertise it, right? Since there's an
Agreed.
executive emergency order, it doesn't have to happen.
right. So it's, the order is more than just that we can conduct business. We can actually vote,
Correct.
have board members participate and vote. But once that goes away, then we have to go back to our.
Right, so that's why I think
Yeah.
Chris is saying, put in that sentence unless there's an executive order in place. Correct?
Yeah, exactly, Michelle, thank you.
Okay. I'm good.
So does that mean that if we come out of executive order due to the pandemic, that virtual will no longer be allowed? Virtual attendance? Attendance
Possibly.
budget.
Virtual attendance will be allowed according to our remote attendance policy.
How about the public?
What's that?
How about the public itself? Can they still attend remotely?
Nothing prohibits it. It's really a board decision.
That's your
And I think you should address that when it, if and when the governor's executive order expires. I think we need to make a couple changes to your remote attendance policy, because it's, the last I recall, it actually says you have to have a quorum physically present.
Section 4I. I would think we would want to change that into perpetuity, realistically.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, and there's been talk about even after the executive order, having hybrid meetings, that people have gotten used to the convenience and the flexibility and the being able to just tune into a meeting online. And even though the order doesn't apply anymore, we've got to have, or the town's got to have some policy regarding public meetings, how they can be participated in.
Well, exactly, and this remote attendance policy, I prepared at the planning board was on the cutting edge.
Yep.
Ago, and directed me to prepare this, and this was as far as we could go, all these restrictions. You couldn't even vote, you couldn't, everybody else had to be in the room. You had to have a valid excuse. At this point, even without the governor's executive orders, I think we can have a much less restrictive remote participation policy. I think the open meetings law interpretation has changed because of, we've been under executive order for 2 years and been doing remote meetings, and they clearly are effective to some extent. So I think we can loosen up the remote participation policy significantly if that's the board's desire.
If and when the executive order expires, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, maybe you ought to be thinking about that, Chris. I don't know, does the town board they have a remote policy too, right?
Yep.
They do. That's very similar to this one, because I wrote that
We'll
one
have to go hand in glove with that, yeah, okay.
and copied it almost verbatim.
I would think that with any virtual meeting, as long as the mechanism by which they are connected, the internet connection, that it shouldn't even impact the quorum ability. If they're present, that to me is present. If the communication tool is working properly.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I agree with you 100%, Mark. I mean,
The only time we have a snafu is like happened at one time where we lost our connection, our Zoom connection, and we had a public hearing. And on your guidance, Chris,
yeah,
we can't have the hearing because it was advertised to be via Zoom or in person, so yeah, as long as we have good Wi-Fi, I guess. So.
yeah, and I think when I wrote this policy for the board, however long ago, the law was pretty clear. You had to have the most people in the room, located in the town, to have a quorum. I don't think that's true anymore. I don't think that's what the law means anymore.
Well, again, I think the policy is written for the snowbirds who went to Florida during the winter for a couple months. And
Exactly.
we still wanted them to participate, so long as they told us where they were, that we could see them, we could see their body language. I think those were concerns. I remember you had said, Chris, that the applicant was face to face with a board member, that there was no hide behind a phone number or something like that. So I think we took care of all that. Bob, take that Bob, take that mask off.
Oh, sorry, I'm not wearing my mask.
I know that's me. I'm wearing my Bob mask.
All right, so we do need, depending how things happen with remote attendance and executive orders, to to dress up that remote attendance policy at some point, but for the time being, I think it's, you know, it applies to the board members at least. Okay. Training, we talked about that. And planning board should convene second week of January okay, we did that tonight. Anything I missed? We did the rule, we're doing the rules, review the training requirements. Schedule, hire our experts. Discuss any business pertinent to the active operation of the board. Boy, are we doing that. It's already appointed by the town board, appointed planning chair. Okay, that's done. Okay, applications requiring variances. I think this works for the most part. We do not act on an application for site plan or subdivision until the ZBA's adjudicated the application. The comprehensive plan report. Anything I'd like to add to that would be, it's not just a update on the, what we're doing with the comprehensive plan. It's also our activities and goals. So I said a report on the board's activities and goals.
Yeah, goal, yeah.
Okay, should be added in. Related to the current town of Canandaigua comprehensive plan. You got that, Jen? A report on the board's activities and goals related to the current town of Canandaigua comprehensive plan should be written and forwarded to town board.
Chris, or Chuck, why is that on by July of each year?
I was just gonna say that. I don't know what she's. I know the ECP is the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Do we have the prerogative to change it?
There's a reason for that.
You want to run our summer, right?
Leave it as is if you don't mind. Subject to, maybe Michelle, you can ask Donna to figure out why and report back.
Yes.
I feel like there's a reason for that.
Yeah, it's awkward in terms of, are we doing, it's over 2 years then. You're going from August to July, and you could have different board members and different rules of procedure and different things that change, different comp plans. So yeah, it'd be much simpler to have it run on the calendar year. So we give us something to do that last week, Tuesday in December. Filing distribution. Okay, that's what happens to these after the effective date. Okay, I guess we'll have to carry over these guidelines for review of landscape pruning and removal of trees. You guys understand what that's all about?
Yep.
We are the sheriffs of the conservation easements in Fox Ridge, we the planning board. Anytime anybody goes in and does any substantial removal of shrubbery, trees in that conservation easement, they have to come to the board for approval. So then it got into what constitutes what's required to seek that approval. And, there was talk about having an arborist come in and justify that the trees are in fact dead and they should be removed for the sake of the trees that are remaining. And we had meetings that literally went on for 3-4 months. People up top arguing they want to be able to improve and improving your vista was not a reason for removal, but certainly that was the case in some cases. Then you had people down below. Once those trees and shrubs are gone, people can look right into my back of my house. We can't have it removed. So we came up with this policy as to how to address those types of applications. And fortunately, we've not had any in a while. We had that one
Last summer.
Yeah,
Right down.
4 or 6 months ago, the guy, the ash trees, and a lot of times the homeowner doesn't even know there's a conservation easement, so they go in there they're having at it as far as chopping wood.
Right, that's-
And then Chris Jensen goes out, he finds out there was an infraction, he cites him, says you either go to the planning board and get approval for this, and a lot of times it was done after the fact. And so this, let's, I'm not sitting here looking to change this tonight, but if somebody would like to consider a alternative or additions to this in terms of how we can remain the policeman of the conservation easement, we're willing to listen to it.
We haven't had one in 7 or 8 years though, have we?
Yeah, Michelle mentioned, well, we had one about 6 months ago,
Oh,
Yep, the guy, yeah, trimmed some ash trees that were dead.
But does it
but when we
belong?
had that policy.
Does it belong here?
Does it belong with the planning board? Can it be allowed?
Oh, well, we tried to advocate or to the homeowner association. They didn't want it. Nope.
There's nowhere else we could
But
put it.
aren't most HOAs controlled by the county?
In,
They're all
by the
individual.
Boone County.
No, they're all-
HOAs, I always understood HOAs to be controlled. If
Oh,
there-
yeah, well,
if
that,
there's to be-
in an ideal world,
If
and
there's to be a
that's,
conflict, then it goes to the
and
county.
we don't have any more of these moving forward. I mean, everything's HOA now.
So in this situation, what happened was the planning board, I forget, but in the 80s or 90s, made a condition of approval that each piece of land that was sold, each lot, be subject to deed restrictions. It's not actually a conservation easement, it's a deed restriction that specified that the planning board had to approve any removal of trees. Since the planning board shouldn't make decisions willy-nilly, when this first came to light, we decided to put in standards that the new planning board agreed upon. Since the planning board can't, vote on local laws and create town code, this was really the only place to put it. It's appropriate, it's worked out as an exhibit to the planning board's rules of procedures. The town board is actually is aware that it's in there and said, this is the best we can do without unraveling an HOA that the HOA doesn't want to unravel.
And it is specific to Fox Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just for Fox Ridge.
Okay, we'll carry it on. Okay, and the remote attendance policy, we talked about massaging that at some point.
Well, actually, Chuck, if we could add at the end of section 18, after the capital letter B, a comma, and then the phrase unless otherwise allowed or required by law.
Are you in the exhibit or are you back in the text?
On section 18 of the rules of procedure, the last one,
Paragraph 18, okay, yep.
unless otherwise allowed or required by law. And then actually, for the remote participation policy, I would recommend that you do it right now because I don't know how long the governor's executive order is going to last. If you go down to section B or exhibit B,
Yeah,
remove the definition of qualifying event. And then in section 4A, remove section 1 and 2. And 4B, that's it. Then the rules to pretty much just say you can participate by remote means. All it really does is take the need to have an emergency or be located greater than 60 miles from the town out. If we just remove 4A1, 4A2, and 4B.
So 4 comes out entirely then.
No, I want to leave for,
This is restrictions on remote attendance, we're talking about, right?
I want to leave 4A3. Remote means utilized as fully functional and shall allow all planning board members to hear all communications, etc. I think that's important.
Okay. So essentially that becomes
4.
4. Yep, okay.
And then.
And B comes out.
Yep.
No planning board member may attend a meeting by remote means for any reason other than a qualifying event, since we don't define it.
Correct.
Is the word qualifying or the term qualifying event used anywhere else?
It might be, but I think you'll,
Okay,
but we can live with it. I don't think it is actually, but even if it is, it doesn't,
okay. Understood. Jim?
yep. Yep, section 3. The last 5 words, because of a qualifying event, need to come out.
That's what Okay, and I bet it's gonna go through a further revision at some point.
Yeah, and you know what's gonna happen is John Robertella is gonna go make these revisions and find any other instances and bring it to our attention at the next meeting. Because he's the most detail-oriented guy I've ever met.
Well, we got it. Okay. Anything else? Scott, Mark, anything that you feel, well, you haven't sat, you sat through some of our meetings on the other side of the fence, but you haven't participated, so you really haven't gotten a feeling for where we're lacking or where we maybe should address things yet. So hopefully we can run with this. I think we did a lot of work on it and it was well worth the time and effort we spent. Unfortunately, we didn't have a big agenda tonight and allowed us the time to do it. And if all that being said, if someone wants to make a motion that we adopt these rules of procedure for 2022, I will accept it.
I'll make that motion that we approve our planning board 2022 rules of procedures as written, as stated today.
A motion from Bob, do I have a second?
I'll second.
And
Amanda.
a second, any further questions? Board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, resolution passed.
Chuck, I'll send you, I'll make the changes and send it to you first.
Okay.
Check your notes against my
Sending
notes.
with the minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll, before we send it out to everybody again.
Okay.
Just another set of eyes on the changes.
No problem. Okay, let's move on to our items for this evening. It shouldn't take very long. The first one is CPN 21077, Marks Engineering representing Finger Lakes Radio. Keith Rosato, owner of property at 3060 County Route 10, requesting a single stage site plan approval. This is the application where Chris Jensen has been working with Mr. Rosato to resolve some issues that he had with the property. And the applicant has formally withdrawn his application for the time being. And that occurred on January 5th via email. So this one is off the agenda. Next one being Thornton Engineering, represent Frontenac Holding Company, owner properties at 2121 State Route 332, seeking a single stage site plan approval for the construction of approximately 10,210 square feet of new asphalt for boat display. Applicants are also requesting a waiver to reduce the front landscape buffer width from 20 to 10 feet. And this is a continuation of a hearing It's back November, I guess it was, yeah. So we got a letter from Mr. Thornton saying that he's not ready to, he has not revised the plans. He's still working on them, so he would like to continue discussion of this application to our February 22nd meeting. So if someone wants to make a motion for to continue the hearing at his wish to the 22nd, I would accept it.
I'll make the motion to continue 21-074 for 2121 State Route 332, continuing to February 22nd.
Okay. And further
Second.
discussion? Further discussion? Got it. Mark? do you have
I
one?
seconded. it.
Okay. Okay, Amanda made the motion, Mark made a second. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearings, there's sketch plans. Oh, there's sketch plans at the bottom of the list. We have minutes from our December 14th meeting. We have Bob, we have Amanda, we have myself. We have quorum to, I will make a motion that we accept those minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Bob. Any questions, Amanda? No?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion, the minutes carry. Okay, no referrals from town board, no recommendations to the ZBA. No recommendations to the CEO. Okay, letter of credit. We have one letter of credit from Gerber Homes representing Jennifer and Cody Clark. Owners of property 5451 Thomas Road, requesting the return of their surety, which is in the amount of
1,000, or hold on, I lied.
in the resolution.
Flip-flop.
Should be on the front.
$1,040.
Should be on the front.
The other firm,
No, front.
it's $1,040. So
Correct.
it's the total surety. Lance has signed off.
Well, just for clarity, the sureties, the difference between letter of credit and the sureties for the board, and I apologize to take any more of your time, but the letter of credits require MRB to sign off on it. And Jim Fletcher and those. It's an actual form that gets signed. Those get submitted to you. They're of a value greater than $20,000. Not necessarily the release request, but the overall value of the letter of credit. In this instance, these type of sureties are usually required for applications to cover erosion and sediment control, grading on residential, smaller projects. And these values get approved by the town and they're less than $20,000 in total. In order to release them, it triggers a review and approval by Chris Jensen to go out on the site and make sure, one, all the elements that were required by the board have been addressed, and two, that there's no outstanding issues on the site. And then once we have that authorization from Chris, it usually gets then placed as a request before you tonight. So just for clarity, there isn't a sign off by MRB on this.
I just saw that. So yes, Jim Fletcher signed it, Chris Jensen signed it. So I think we're good to go. So I'm sorry, did I get a motion?
Not yet.
Not yet? Do I have a
I'll
motion?
make the motion to do this release for the 20075.
Okay, in the amount of $1,040.
Correct.
Okay,
I'll
thank you very
second.
much. Have a second? To hear Scott say second?
Second, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? We get to be bankers, guys. We want some money, release the money. So in this case, it's for home, especially soil erosion control.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, Fox Ridge is off. Lance, I understand. The
Correct. Gene had, the town clerk had reached out to Rocco, made a suggestion that they need to have the official form signed first before being placed on the agenda. Therefore, it's been tabled to your next board meeting at this time.
Okay. We are moving along, getting near the end, folks. Staff reports, upcoming applications. Things have changed, as they always do with some of these applications. On January, our next meeting in 2 weeks, we had planned on having Mr. Westbrook come back. It was pending him going to the ZBA on the 18th next week. He has since withdrew his application. So that comes off their agenda, comes off our agenda. So he's got some homework to do up there with the neighbors and what he wants to really do. We have Dave Parsons left over from back in November. He's coming back. We have Green Land Surveying representing one of the 2 properties on Seneca Point Road that they want to build a home. So that's one of them. Was that the one I saw that you needed more legible plans or something?
We just got a new plan from Mark Green, yeah,
Okay,
and it's up on, and it's uploaded.
so, okay, it's uploaded, so it's on our, in our files.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, take a look at that. And then we have Mark's Engineering representing Jeffrey and Kate Ingram, owners of property at next door at 5015 Seneca Point Road, requesting a single stage site plan approval, construction of a new single-family dwelling. And we have Venezia Associates representing ABDB, Silver Springs, owner of property of 4351 Titchener Point Drive, requesting a single-stage site plan approval for the construction of a new single-family dwelling. And they have to go to the ZBA for a setback variance on the setback from the stream. So that'll occur next Tuesday, and if they're successful, I guess we'll be hearing it on the 25th. Please look that plan over carefully. There's some correspondence from Kevin Mulvaney. He has a couple concerns, so make sure. And then Chris Jensen has also responded. This is right at the point of where Titchener Gorge or Titchener Creek comes down, intersects the lake, and has been subject to some flooding, and it's similar to some of the other applications we saw on Menteith and what was the other one? Oh, down Ononda, across from the park there. So same situation, just want to make sure we have our I's dotted and T's crossed. Did you review that yet, Lance?
Yeah, we started our review. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I wasn't able to quite finish it quite yet, but yeah, that's on our task list, and I'm hoping to get that out this week. But yes, I have seen all the correspondences both from Kevin Mulvaney and Chris Jensen. Kevin Mulvaney has also reached out to our office. I owe him a call back. So yeah, there's a lot of dialogue on this particular application.
And the 25th, also pending the ZBA approval. Next week, we would have Venezia Associates representing Timberwind LLC, owner of property at 6170 Dugway Road, requesting a single stage subdivision approval to create 2 lots. Okay,
Variances for road frontage.
yeah. Oh,
Chuck.
they don't have adequate frontage.
25.
Okay,
They're supposed to have 225, but it's only
okay.
30.
All right, so,
If I may-
yes, Bob.
Just a question, Chuck. Can you go over for the new board members, the procedure for us sending in our questions to each CPN, asking like Grove Engineering, things that we found?
Well, first of all, we have the public meeting law. So we have to be very careful that we're not sending things to everybody else. So everything has to be funneled through Shauna. So if you have questions on a particular application, send them to Shauna. She will either get the answers to them, or if it's something that she feels should be distributed to the rest of the board, she will do that. But I'm not the go-to person. I try to be very careful in not sending emails out to any more than one one other member of the planning board. If it's
Yeah,
something-
I only say that because I found out the hard way.
Please, if you could tag me in on it too, because she's not always in the office every day.
Yeah, Bob found out the hard way because I yelled at him that it was due.
That's right. So again, yeah, watch your correspondence, that's all. Don't send out general emails to the whole group because that's a no-no. Does that answer your question, Bob?
Yeah, oh, I didn't have the question. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that in the new board
Okay.
member.
Uh,
I'm clear now, always been.
But also, since Bob brought it up, and it's a good point, if you, as members, have conversations, either with each other, or with community members, neighbors, or the property owner, if you're going to visit the site, and the property owner says, hey, what are you doing in my front yard? You say, I'm with the planning board, and they say, oh, great, let me show you what I'm planning to do here. Mention it when the application comes up at the board. I had an opportunity to talk to the homeowner, or, the applicant, the developer's attorney called me at my office. And we had a conversation that consisted of the following. It's perfectly appropriate for you to have conversations. You are members of the community. You're supposed to interact with the members. This isn't New York City. You're not a judge. You're not a court of appeals. You're a planning board. You can talk to developers, applicants, neighbors, community members. You can even talk to each other one-on-one. But any of that should be disclosed at the meeting.
Yep.
As well as any correspondence that you receive related to it. Any information you have that isn't brought up at a meeting, you should bring up and make it part of the record.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
One thing I did want to mention about PRC.
Yep.
I only send the link or whatever to Chuck, because he's the chair of the planning board. I can always send the link if you wanted to go on the meeting, but I also wanted to mention all of our meetings are recorded and placed on YouTube.
Oh,
So if you wanted to see the PRC meeting and you had to work or something, it's usually within the week of the meeting, not always. Recently, it's been a little longer, but just if you wanted to watch the PRC meeting and see what happened there, they're always available on the YouTube, Town of Canandaigua YouTube channel, just so you're aware about that. And any of the meetings, town board, ECB, zoning board, they're all available there.
And I encourage you to, if you have the opportunity, to go visit to the site itself. The site is posted that it's, that the property is subject to deliberations by a planning board, zoning board, or whoever. And we as planning board members have the right to go onto the property. It'd be nice to knock first and let the owner know we're there, so they don't stick the dogs on you. But,
Is there any type of badge or proof card that says, because
there is not.
there's been instances in my past in a different municipality where some people said, oh, I'm on the zoning board, to try to sort of sneak in.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, so I didn't know, and I know that I have heard of other towns doing that. There might be some type of, planning, even a name tag or something that's just to ease the owner's mind. And maybe it's not a problem here.
They're making them for us.
I've never had a problem talking to anybody out there.
They're making us badges
That's
from ECB.
Oh, they are.
I think we
Yeah.
could, I heard that this week, and we could do it for the planning board if.
Either that or business cards, but business cards.
even right, just some form of other than, hey, I'm Scott from the planning board. Well, are you? Just to ease the homeowners.
Well, if you got it in the works, I mean.
I think
they're cheaper by the
we're,
dozen.
the ECB ones are in the works, and we're gonna make them. So,
It's not a bad
Make
idea.
sure they don't say.
because we have a laminator and all that stuff. So,
Just keep it in your car and when you
Yes.
get there, you can say, hey,
Would it make sense for the board members that do want to go do an on-site inspection like that, contact the town first, or is that already required? That way, at least if the homeowner does have a request, to at least validate it, they could call the town and confirm.
I don't think there's a
Chuck, who?
policy.
We don't do that yet. That's a good idea. I've just gone, I've never run into a problem with anyone. Have you, Bob? You do a lot of site visits,
I have never had a negative impact from anybody I've talked to out there.
but
Good.
since you're getting,
Yeah.
it's belts and suspenders, I think. Yeah.
Well, and everybody who applies before this board agrees in writing and has to sign it that they will let the planning board come on their property.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
part of the application.
Okay.
The worst risk that you as board members and we as a town are running is that they inadvertently let some member of the public who's interested in the project on their property as well. We require the property be posted, notice of public hearing, it's published in the newspaper. We want people to be aware of stuff. Obviously, we can't encourage trespassing, but it's not the worst thing in the world in this situation.
Well, I did say jokingly too, if they have a dog or somebody, you might find out the hard
Oh yeah,
way.
try not to get bit by any dogs.
Right.
Actually, that does. Prior to being a planning board member, it was suggested that I was trespassing a time or two. And who covers insurance for that? The concern that was raised is that if I was to get hurt while on that property, that their insurance company was concerned that we were there. So if a planning board member shows up on their property that's under review, what happens?
They are inviting, by applying, they are inviting you as planning board members onto their property. If they have a dangerous or negligent condition, yeah, their insurance company is gonna have to pay you. If you, as a planning board member, get injured through no fault of the property owner, well, I don't know, but I think the town's insurance would probably wind up covering it.
I'm just generally curious because that could be a potential response, but I agree with Bob that that's probably never going to happen if you just identify yourself and have a conversation. But if that question ever came up, that's why I was curious.
Yeah, well, you're on private property.
You as planning board, if you go up and identify yourself as a planning board member and they say, get off my property, the next step, I think, would be notify staff, at which point that property can be immediately removed from the agenda until the matter is sorted out.
Yep.
Don't go on neighbors' properties unless if they tell you not to, though.
Sure, of course. Okay. I think we've talked enough tonight.
Are we ready?
Boy, am I glad we didn't have a big agenda. But it was certainly well worth it. I think we got, Michelle, was nice having you here because you're sort of the person that's missing when we're talking about the different things, and you're certainly an important cog in this whole thing. So good that you were here, and it's good that you do what you do for the planning board. Appreciate that. Anybody have anything else for the good of the board? Okay, Bob, good skiing.
I will make a motion to adjourn our meeting at 7:37 this evening.
Second.
Motion second.
Enjoy yourself, Bob.
Oh, I will. Thanks, Amanda.
You're the second banana. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Again, welcome, Mark. Scott. Yep,
Thank you.
good to have you on board. Good to
Welcome,
have you.
guys. Good to have you.
We
Take care.
gotta go on. Thanks, Lance. Thanks, Chris.